So now close to the closing of Bits and Pretzels, I'm now talking to Nadine. Nadine is responsible for all digital and business ecosystem topics at Miele, and I was participating in part of your session. You were here like hosting also with your CEO, with one of your managing directors, with Miele, introducing that what you are doing. So maybe first question, Nadine, are you happy with the Bits and Pretzels, with that what you did on the stage, and you and your colleagues, and what were your impressions from today from your session?
Well, thank you first for having me. This was our very first time at the Bits and Pretzels, at least as one of the partners, and we think it was a very, very good decision for us because we had really interesting feedback today. We had good talks, and we had feedback and talks to the point, right? It was really the people we want to have to learn about our smart home activities, to get in touch with them, to discuss further. So we had the stage, you mentioned the stage. It was great being there. Everyone had fun being on stage, but what was also great was the feedback we got afterwards, and then the digging deeper that we can do now with all the contacts we had. So yeah, the question, are we happy? Definitely.
Sounds great. Now maybe we go a little bit deeper into the contents. You presented, you and your colleagues, and when I look back at the session, I remember very strongly the keynote of Miele, one of your managing directors, because he was highly emphasizing the two topics of digitization and sustainability. And maybe you can let us know a little bit more about how are these both very important issues linked together from an ecosystem perspective.
First of all, I think we mentioned it today too, is that sustainability is kind of in the DNA of Miele. We always have that phrase. It's almost like a phrase now, but it's really true, right? We have products from the very beginning that are always very energy efficient, and that's the whole focus for us. We produce products that last for 20 years, so of course sustainability is part of Miele. So when we think about digital features and enhancing an ecosystem and building an ecosystem, it's just natural. The sustainability is still a big part there. And then digitization also kind of falls into place with what I just mentioned, because when you have products in your home for 20 years, then of course the hardware is always the same. So how can you bring new features and new experiences to our users? It is with digital features, and so we think this is really key to making sure our products have an impact and are interesting also 10 years from now, and they grow and they evolve with the users, and that's why those two topics are key for us, and they're also in our DNA, I could say right now. So yeah.
With the 20 years, I take you for granted because I'm, as a private user, I also have a Miele dishwasher and a Miele washing machine. I think they are now 7 years old, so I come back to you. No, just kidding. But let's talk about the products and the services. I mean, you were also presenting and mentioning here some of the new services with an ecosystem perspective. Maybe you can just take out one or two which you think are promising, are very ecosystem driven, where you are opening up for external partnerships, integrating third parties into your products and services. What would you let us know, which are the concrete examples you like to mention?
Mm-hmm. So we think of ecosystems in two ways. One of them is being open to being part of other ecosystems, because we believe that it's not us that are creating ecosystems for our users, but in fact they are choosing their own ecosystem. So we don't want to enforce a solution, an ecosystem solution, but we want to make sure we are part of those that are relevant. So one good example is energy management, right? If you have a home, it's not just the energy management of your washing machine, and you don't want to just connect your washing machine, for example, to solar panels. You have other parts of the home, like charging your electric vehicle or heat pumps. They also consume energy. So we are open to connect with those systems. We actually work together with other competitors in the field to create one API that works for all of us when it comes to energy management, because we think this is not a proprietary solution, but it's something that we all have to work on, and so we do that even together with other brands in the the market. And then second is, okay, what can we do to enhance the ecosystem of our products, and how can we add ecosystem solutions to our products to make them more interesting, and maybe in that sense, let's talk about how we also think about circularity in the future. Let's talk about Repartly. I think that's a great example, because I talked about 20 years of lifetime expectancy. Still, there can be things that go wrong, and we actually now have a startup, a spin-off from our own company, where we repair electronics. We think it's super important to be in that field, to not leave it up to others, but to ourselves, repair electronics and give appliances a second life. So this is enhancing our business model ecosystem, and also very important to us.
Pretty cool. Maybe one more question, because now you are personally responsible for all these things within the organization. So how do you bring the ecosystem mindset into your team, but also across the company? Because that's what we see often as a big challenge because I mean, you have a sustainable DNA, but maybe not an ecosystem DNA. So how do you do that?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I can tell you it was not always the same belief in the company from the very beginning. I think it's natural when you start working with other platforms and ecosystems that in the beginning it might be a little bit protective, because that's the way business worked for so long. But I think what we did and what we continue to do is to set positive examples, to showcase, like in the example of energy management, how it makes sense to work together with others, and to opening up and to publish an open API to our cloud system, because we think only together we can really bring useful, meaningful solutions to our customers. So we start with that. We start with small examples, and actually we see more and more colleagues getting involved and getting interested, and even coming up with examples or telling us about partners we should talk about. So that's the way we do it, I would say. It's grassroots works, and then we build up from there.
Cool. Good closing remark. Thank you, Nadine, once again for this great, quick conversation at the end of Bits and Pretzels. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Cool.